Great music does not emerge from a vacuum. It is carved from the raw, unpredictable canvas of human existence. Sometimes it is born from romance, sometimes from political fury. But every so often, a song is forged from a reality so bizarre, so chilling, or so surreal that it challenges the very boundary between truth and fiction. Behind the multi-platinum records, the screaming arena crowds, and the timeless melodies lie secrets hidden in plain sight. Today, we open the vault to look past the charts and into the uncanny events that birthed music history. We count down the top 10 iconic songs inspired by the strangest true stories to ever unfold. Number 10. A Dream That Became a Hit. We begin our countdown in 1964, inside a modest room at the Wimpole Street home of Paul McCartney's girlfriend in London. One morning, the young Beatle woke up with a melody completely formed inside his head. It wasn't a fragment or a vague hook. It was a flawless, hauntingly beautiful classical chord progression, delivered directly to his subconscious mind by a dream. Convinced that he must have subconsciously stolen the song from an old jazz standard, McCartney spent weeks visiting music publishers and industry executives, playing the tune and asking if they recognized it. Nobody did. The melody was entirely original, born from the depths of sleep. To keep the structure intact before writing the final lyrics, he used a temporary working title, Scrambled Eggs, with the humorous opening line, "Scrambled eggs, oh my baby, how I love your legs." Eventually, those placeholders transformed into Yesterday, a track that went on to become the most covered song in the history of recorded music. A multi-million-dollar masterpiece delivered entirely by a dream. Number 9. The song inspired by a newspaper headline. How does a mundane morning newspaper become the blueprint for arguably the greatest avant-garde rock song ever made? In early 1967, John Lennon sat at his piano with a copy of the daily counterculture masterpiece. The first was a tragic headline detailing the death of Tara Brown, a 21-year-old heir to the Guinness fortune and a close friend of the Beatles, who had crashed his sports car in London. The second was a quirky minor report in the Far and Near column stating that there were exactly 4,000 potholes in the roads of Blackburn, Lancashire. Lennon took these grim and trivial facts, twisted them through his surrealist lens, and combined them with a middle section written by Paul McCartney. The result was A Day in the Life, an epic track that captured the disillusionment, anxiety, and strangeness of modern life, proving that genius can turn a fleeting newspaper headline into permanent high art. Number 8. A song inspired by a crime. In January 1979, the world was shocked by a horrific school shooting in San Diego, California. A 16-year-old girl named Brenda Spencer opened fire on an elementary school across from her home, killing 2 adults and injuring 8 children. Armed with a rifle, she barricaded herself inside her house during a multi-hour standoff with police. A reporter managed to reach her via telephone during the siege and asked the ultimate question, "Why did you do it?" Her chilling, remorseless response was, "I don't like Mondays. This livens up the day." Bob Geldof, the frontman of Irish new wave band the Boomtown Rats, was at a radio station in California when the teletype machine printed the story. Stunned by the senselessness and the eerie mundanity of her quote, he wrote a song that juxtaposed a bouncy, operatic piano pop melody against the dark, disturbing reality of a real-world tragedy. The track became a global #1 hit, serving as a permanent, haunting monument to one of the earliest modern school crimes. Number 7. The song inspired by a child's question.
Picture yourself in a boat on a river with 10.
For decades, critics, governments, and fans were absolutely certain they had cracked the secret code of the Beatles' 1967 masterpiece. They claimed the title, Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, was an obvious, deliberate acronym for the psychedelic drug LSD. But the true story behind the song has nothing to do with illicit substances. It was born from a pure, innocent child's question. One afternoon, John Lennon's 4-year-old son, Julian, walked home from nursery school holding a drawing he had made. It depicted his classmate, a young girl named Lucy O'Donnell, floating across a sky filled with bright, exploding stars. When John asked his son what the drawing was, Julian looked up and innocently said, "It's Lucy, in the sky, with diamonds." The phrase struck John with a wave of childlike wonder. He immediately teamed up with Paul McCartney to build a whimsical, Lewis Carroll-inspired wonderland around that exact image. Despite the massive drug culture conspiracies that surrounded the track, its true genesis was a simple piece of paper brought home by a child. Number 6. A song written after a near-death experience. Few bands embodied the lawless, self-destructive excess of 1980s heavy metal quite like Motley Crue. But in December 1987, that excess caught up with bassist and primary songwriter Nikki Sixx in the most terrifying way possible. After an evening of extreme substance abuse, Sixx suffered a catastrophic overdose and collapsed. His body went entirely cold, and inside the rushing ambulance, he was officially pronounced clinically dead. For 2 agonizing minutes, his heart stopped beating. It took a desperate, defiant paramedic who refused to give up on the young rock star, plunging 2 syringes of pure adrenaline directly into Sixx's chest to violently shock his heart back to life. After miraculously waking up in the hospital, Sixx broke out, went home, and immediately channeled the terrifying adrenaline rush of cheating death into a notebook. The resulting track, "Kickstart My Heart," became the definitive anthem of hard rock resilience. It is a song fueled by the literal experience of returning from the absolute edge of the afterlife. Number 5. The song inspired by a ghost story. In 1969, a young blues rock band from Birmingham, England, named Earth, decided to completely reinvent their sound, accidentally inventing heavy metal in the process. Bassist Geezer Butler, who was deeply fascinated by the occult, had recently redecorated his apartment, painting it pitch black and lining the walls with inverted crucifixes. Ozzy Osbourne had gifted him a mysterious, handwritten 16th century Latin book on witchcraft. One night, after reading the text, Butler placed the book on a shelf and went to sleep. In the dead of night, he suddenly awoke to find himself completely paralyzed. Standing at the foot of his bed was a massive, formless black shape, radiating pure malevolence. The entity stared directly into his soul before vanishing into thin air. Terrified, Butler rushed to check the shelf. The ancient occult book was completely gone. When he recounted this bone-chilling ghost encounter to Ozzy, the frontman was so inspired that he penned the opening lyrics to a track named after the band's new moniker, Black Sabbath. The song launched a global musical revolution, built entirely on a terrifying supernatural encounter. Number 4. A song inspired by a misheard conversation. In August 1990, Kurt Cobain sat in his messy bedroom, talking about politics, rebellion, and punk rock, with his close friend Kathleen Hanna, the lead singer of Bikini Kill. After a long night of revolutionary conversation and drinking, Hanna took a thick black marker and spray-painted a bold sentence across Cobain's bedroom wall. "Kurt smells like teen spirit." Cobain looked at the wall and felt an instant surge of poetic inspiration. He interpreted the sentence as a deep, anti-establishment compliment, a statement that he possessed a revolutionary aura, capable of igniting a youth movement. Months later, he wrote a song around that exact phrase, launching the alternative rock revolution. What Cobain didn't realize until after the track was recorded and released was that Teen Spirit was actually a popular, cheap brand of drugstore deodorant targeted at teenage girls. Hanna was simply making fun of him because his girlfriend made him smell like a female deodorant product. A misunderstood phrase became the anthem of a generation. Number 3. The song inspired by a real disaster. It is widely considered the most recognizable guitar riff in the history of rock music. Yet Deep Purple's 1972 anthem, Smoke on the Water, wasn't supposed to exist. In December 1971, the band traveled to Montreux, Switzerland, to record their next album using a mobile studio rented from the Rolling Stones. They set up camp at the historic Montreux Casino complex. On the evening before tracking was set to begin, Frank Zappa and the Mothers of Invention were performing a live concert inside the casino theater. Midway through the show, a crazed fan in the audience fired a flare gun directly into the rattan-covered ceiling, instantly igniting a catastrophic inferno. The entire complex quickly became a towering inferno. Deep Purple members watched from across Lake Geneva as the historic venue burned to the ground, casting a massive, terrifying cloud of black smoke that settled over the water. Left without a studio, they wrote a literal, blow-by-blow account of the disaster over a simple riff. A real-world catastrophe gave birth to the ultimate rock guitar standard. Number 2. The song inspired by a prison letter. In 1975, folk icon Bob Dylan received an unexpected package in the mail. It was a prison letter, accompanied by a copy of an autobiography titled The 16th Round. The sender was Reuben "Hurricane" Carter, a legendary top-tier middleweight professional boxer who was sitting inside a maximum security prison cell, serving a life sentence for a triple homicide at a bar in Paterson, New Jersey, in 1966. Carter maintained his absolute innocence, claiming he had been racially profiled and framed by corrupt police officers. Deeply moved by the raw passion and desperation inside the letter, Dylan traveled to Trenton State Prison to meet the boxer face-to-face. Convinced of a massive miscarriage of justice, Dylan immediately sat down with co-writer Jacques Lovie to craft Hurricane. The track was a cinematic, 8-minute journalistic protest song that laid out the entire case, naming names and exposing systemic corruption. The song mobilized the global civil rights movement, putting immense public pressure on the legal system, eventually helping lead to Carter's full release years later. It remains the ultimate example of a prison letter changing the course of a man's life through music. Number 1. The strangest story ever turned into a song. The single strangest true story ever converted into a hit record. In the summer of 1998, American alternative rock band Fastball dominated the global charts with a catchy, driving song called The Way. The lyrics paint a beautiful, romantic picture of an elderly couple who decides to pack up their belongings, leave their children behind, and drive off into the sunset to find eternal happiness, never looking back. But the true story that inspired frontman Tony Scalzo to write the song is deeply tragic and unsettling. Scalzo had been reading local newspaper reports out of Salado, Texas, about the sudden disappearance of Layla and Raymond Howard, an elderly married couple. 83-year-old Raymond was recovering from brain surgery, and 88-year-old Layla suffered from advanced Alzheimer's disease. One morning, they drove out to attend a local festival just 15 miles away, but they never arrived. They completely vanished off the face of the earth. As Scalzo sat down to write a song, imagining that the couple had simply chosen to escape their fragile reality for a romantic adventure, a real-world search was underway. Weeks later, the grim reality emerged. Their car had veered off a remote, unmarked road in Arkansas, plunging deep into a steep, hidden canyon. Both had perished in the crash. The upbeat, romantic anthem that the world was singing along to on the radio was actually a real-time eulogy for a lost, confused couple driving toward their ultimate tragedy. It is the absolute pinnacle of an unforgettable hit song, built on the foundation of a chilling true mystery.